Welcome back to the Life's Better podcast, where we say life is so much better with God, community, and purpose. Josh and I are hanging out as always, but we've got a special guest with us. We've got Jonathan Edwards here, who is actually the co-executive director of Mission Journeys, and I can't wait to talk about that. But before we get into it, with a name like Jonathan Edwards, like I've just got to go there. If you're listening and you're not a geek like me, who grew up listening to Dad talk about these random church historic figures of the early 1700s. You may not know the name Jonathan Edwards, but famous pastor, probably most famous for the sermon.
Hands of an angry God.
Yeah. And so I just have to ask, like, your parents, they had the last name Edwards. Were they just really into Jonathan and then later were like, oh, hey, or was it we could make this...
They had no clue until I came back from a senior English class in high school who that was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pure coincidence. Actually, neither one of them liked the name Jonathan. My dad liked the name Benjamin, which actually my middle son is named, and my mom liked the name Nathan, and my aunt came up with a compromise.
Is that right?
And none of them. It wasn't until I had read it like a senior English class, came back and go, hey.
He wrote this thing.
I've got somebody whose name was the same as mine. How cool. And they're like, oh, we didn't know.
That's funny.
And now you're a missionary.
I'm curious, yeah. So were you able to... Did you grow up in a family where, like, they should have known?
No, I did not.
Okay.
No, I did not.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I've got a dad who, he loves American history. He loves church history, and so I think I heard it from him. And then it was more cemented. I think it was an English class too. I was actually it was like one of those short literature classes that you were reading the sermon and getting that perspective. So anyway, enough about your name. No one cares. Some of you are like, who's this guy? Look him up. He did some cool stuff. But let's talk about Mission Journeys just for a little bit. Mission Journeys is a parachurch organization that has a real heart for gospel-centered mission work, and you're really tackling that on two fronts. One, providing resources and support to existing missionaries, and at the same time creating mission opportunities for churches like ours to take their congregants and allow them to not just be spectators, not just to hear a missionary. Josh and I, we talk about this from time to time, but just that idea that we're so much better when we're actually participating, when we're in the game, and that's what you guys do. That's what you provide, which is great. And we're going to talk about it, but we want to get to know you a little bit better. And so we're going to play a game first.
Yeah,
it's a silly game. Those who
I was beginning to wonder. I was like, did Jonathan bring a coin? Or
I
had to, like,
I have a coin in my
nice
pocket
job.
because we are playing a game called Coin Flip. And this is just one of those fun games that you already said you were going to do. So you can't back out of it now.
You say you could edit if I mess this up. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we will. If you completely fail and somehow, your pants around your ankles and we got some weird, we will edit that out.
All right.
Some of you are like, I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't edit that out. Okay, so if I flip this coin and it's a tails, you have to do some silly challenge.
Okay.
If I flip the coin and it's a heads, you have to answer a potentially embarrassing question.
All right.
All right, so here we go. And it's tails. So challenge time.
Okay, all right.
The first challenge that we have for you, try to say the alphabet backwards.
Oh, gosh. All right.
Ready, go.
ZYX. I'm going to mess this up right. W, I don't know, V, I'm probably messed. T, no, is it?
I think it's U and then T, right?
U and then T, then S, R, Q, P. If I skipped one?
I think you're good.
I don't know.
I'm trying to follow along.
O, N, M, L, K, J.
You do a lot better once you get to the...
Well, because I break it into sections, Elemental P. Oh, wait, where did I leave off at? J.
You got close.
I've got a blank on a section of the alphabet.
That's okay. You got more than halfway, I think. Is that right, Josh? Josh, you want to give it a try? He's gonna skip that. All right, that's okay.
We're gonna move on.
Next coin flip.
All right.
All right, we've got heads, which is a potentially embarrassing question.
All right.
Okay, have you ever eaten something out of the trash?
I have to think about that a second. Out of the trash.
You're throwing it away, and you're like, I don't need this, and you're like, but I'm kinda
Okay.
hungry.
All right. I got you. I've thrown some today accidentally, and within a very, very short time frame, been like, oh wait, I didn't mean to throw that away. It's good, clean it off, that kind of thing. So yeah, I guess I
What
could
was
say
this,
technically.
though?
Yeah, I was curious.
It was
too.
probably
Like soup or-
no. That would have been interesting.
Coffee grounds.
I think it was something frozen. It was something, you get those frozen meals or like a frozen leftover. It was something like, no, this is
okay.
still fine. It's still good.
Okay.
Unintentionally. So yes.
Were you picking any hairs off of it afterwards?
I think it was something that was fairly smooth. I'm trying to remember what it was exactly because I can remember doing it. I can remember like running it under the faucet.
Okay, yeah,
Making sure like just this is a little more beyond the 5-second rule. Kind
Sure.
of thing. So
I'm impressed because Josh, I'm wanting to know, have you eaten out of the trash?
Not like right out of the trash.
over the
Okay.
trash.
Yeah. Like I've never used the
It'll
trash
catch
can
the
as a bowl.
evidence.
But I've totally
Who
like
needs to wash plates? Grab me the trash can.
we were out, so like what else was gonna use? No, we've accidentally chucked like vegetables as we're cooking,
Okay.
and realized we needed some more, and so like as long as it's not like under something gross,
Yeah.
I'm fine with peeling.
It's on the top.
Yeah.
The trash bag.
Throwing it under the water real fast, like it doesn't matter.
I'm not going to tell you how many times I've eaten out of the trash. It's more than I would like to admit. I've totally done it.
None of it out of necessity, right? Like it wasn't like I'm so hungry.
I'm
forgot to cook.
homeless and I need sustenance. No, it was just like, yeah, I'm gonna eat that and that looks good. Yeah, I'm weird. Okay, flipping the coin again. We've got another challenge.
Oh gosh.
Okay, I've got a Bible here, and
Ooh.
I know it's tough when you're not familiar with like your Bible.
Well, and I don't have my glasses on, so this will be really
Oh
fun.
no!
That's right.
Okay.
I get, yeah. So if you see me like it up around my nose, yeah, we'll see. All right.
So I'm going to give you a random Bible verse. In fact,
Okay.
it won't even be random. It's going to be one of my favorites.
Is this a sword drill right
This
now?
is a sword drill. For those who are listening and you don't know what Josh just was talking about, I'm going to give you a random Bible verse and you have to look it up, but I'm only going to give you 10 seconds to get it done.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And again, because it's not your Bible,
No,
that's challenging. Okay, this is Philippians chapter 1, 21.
Philippians 1:21. All right. If you start the timer, show.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Sorry. Let me.
No, you're-
I didn't actually tell you. So ready and go. Oh. Halfway there.
Oh, I think I passed it. Oh yeah.
Okay, 10 seconds is over.
So close.
You
Yeah.
can redeem yourself if you know that actual verse.
Philippians 1 what?
21.
We just studied this. Like I literally just
start
finished
you-
a Philippians Bible study with my my home church, our adult Bible class. So hang on, I gotta think about Philippians chapter 1.
I'll give
That
you a
is
hint.
okay.
For me to live is Christ.
But to die is to gain.
Amen.
Yeah.
He knows it. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good stuff. I'll steal that back from you.
All right.
To hold that. Who wants to hold the Bible? Okay. Flipping the coin, and we've got another tail. So you got another challenge here. Okay.
So many tails.
This
I was
one-
prepared for the embarrassing stuff, man.
And you know what? This one you're gonna go head to head with Josh on.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
I've got juice boxes here, or pouches, I guess is what they call.
Yeah.
When I say go, you guys are gonna have to drink these faster than your opponent here. So the challenging thing may actually just be getting that straw out of that plastic,
Without breaking
in
it,
that
yeah.
little hole there. But you guys ready for it? Whoever
Okay.
downs it fastest wins.
Okay,
And
so-
there's no prize. There's no prize.
Okay,
So
all right.
Just warning you, I've worked with a lot of kids. So.
that's true.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're in the youth ministry game still.
What flavor you got there?
Grape.
Okay.
Grape.
Are you guys allergic to grape?
No,
or-
we're good.
Okay.
Well, at least I'm good.
I think if we are, there's not any real grapes.
It's
But they're
probably
not-
not real. Yeah.
It does say artificially flavored, so.
Are
This
you-
episode sponsored by Kool-Aid Jammers.
I hope we're allowed to do that.
I don't know what an artificial
Because we're
grape
not
is.
actually sponsored by them, but who
You
knows?
can make a joke like that.
Okay,
It's fine.
good. On your marks, get set, drink.
Oh, see, I've already been it.
Uh-oh, Josh is ahead.
Oh gosh, I went the wrong way.
Okay, no, ooh, you almost had to eat that out of the trash. Okay, Josh is halfway through. He's pounding it. Jonathan, step it up, man. Oh, Josh is, half of it's going on the ground now. Oh, I hear slurping. We've got a winner. We got a winner. Jonathan
wow,
Edwards
good job.
just won.
I just lost a Kool-Aid Jammer slurping contest with Jonathan Edwards. That's something I thought I could only say in heaven, but
There you go.
I don't think Kool-Aid
It's on your bucket list.
yeah.
All right. We're going to do a couple more of these. Let's see what we've got now. Okay, we're at heads. Something embarrassing. What is your worst habit?
Oh, what I think it is or my wife thinks it is. That's going to be the good
We'll go
question.
with both on that one.
My worst habit, according to my wife, is probably pretty easy. It's that I bite my nails.
Okay.
And that's an anxiety trigger kind of thing.
Sure.
But it's she hates it. Hates it. What I would say my most embarrassing habit is, there's so many things I do wrong. Probably when I speak, I'm hopefully speaking very clearly now, but I am from deep southeast Kentucky.
Okay.
And I kick into the fast mumble real quick.
Sure.
Where you need a translator, that's
Yeah.
pretty bad, especially given my job and as many people I have to talk to on the phone and I have to dial it back, That's pretty kind of.
I do the same thing, and I am not from the South, but I remember when I was doing missions work actually in Swaziland, Africa, they referred to it as rolling. They would say, Jonathan, you're rolling. And for the longest time, I had no idea what they were talking about, and they would try to explain, rolling. When you're talking, what they mean is you're just slurring all your words together.
I
and
gotcha.
They're looking at me like I have a hard time with English as it is. You're making it almost impossible.
Yeah, I get a lot of grief at my home church. So they can tell when I've been talking to somebody from back home because the accent comes out. It's like you flip an invisible switch, and it's like, who is this guy? So yeah, that's.
Can you give us a taste? Can you say just a phrase as thick as you can?
It would probably go something like this. Usually when I'm talking to my dad, it would be something like, "Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I reckon I was." It's all the stereotypical stuff, but it's true. It's not a stereotype. If it's kind of that's.
It's funny that you mentioned the phone thing because my wife says that I have a phone speaking voice that I turn into this Southern hick
On the phone.
On the phone, especially with people who are older than me because I just associate that with being a gentleman, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And so if I'm calling people from our church and stuff, I just turn into this, and she's like, what were you doing? Who are you making fun of? And I'm like, no, that's just me.
I'm an empath. I reflect what you give. That's what it is. I'm an empath.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Well, if we sense that you're doing that, we'll just kind of give you one of these elbows.
Yeah.
Hey, no one understands what you're saying right now. All right, maybe two more here, depending on what it lands on. Okay, we got another heads. Embarrassing question number 3. What is your most embarrassing moment in public?
Well, I'll keep this story brief. It's how I destroyed my right shoulder.
Oh, okay.
Youth ministry. This has been 8 years ago. Playing Frisbee with the youth group.
Oh no.
Was it ultimate Frisbee or just casual?
No. I wish it was that cool.
Okay.
I really wish it was that cool. So I'll put this politely. Throwing a Frisbee was not a skill that any of the youth group had picked up. And our church, the back it's got this nice little paved road, and then it drops off. There's kind of a hillside. And one of the young men, who will remain nameless so that people don't blame him, threw one that I thought, I can catch that one. Especially if I hurry, I can make it to that one. I'm not too old to be doing this. Great. Next thing I know, I'm running down that hill. And I have, within a half a second, I have this whole conversation with myself. It's like, hey, you're a little too big and too old to be running downhill. Oh, wait, you're falling. I know, tuck and roll. And in the process, again, in front of all these kids, 15 at the time, as I tucked and rolled, I drove my shoulder into the ground and tore every ligament, which now I'm actually part zombie. I have a dead person's ligament in my shoulder.
Is that right?
Yes, and the youth group invented this crazy story. So anytime we're around, they talk about Susan, and then I have to explain about Susan. So if you ever come to Big Hill Christian Church in Richmond and you hear about Susan, they're actually referring to my shoulder.
Okay, wow, that is clearly one of those legends that has grown and become a thing of itself.
Oh, listen, it's a thing I wish would go away, but it comes anytime I'm on stage and talk about a frisbee, somebody wants to throw one at me. It's that joke has just kept on going, you know.
Well, let me do one more, and we'll call it. That was a heads. I saw it before it was on there.
Hey, it is a hits.
Oh, hey,
There you go.
Well, that's a tails, actually.
Oh, I can't
That's
see
one of those
them.
fancy quarters.
Need glasses.
All right, here's one. When's the last time that you cried, and why were you crying?
Oh, this is embarrassing because I actually kind of cry a lot, or at least kind of well up and then do the man thing and go, no. Okay, all right. The last time I welled up was at the end of WandaVision. Have you seen WandaVision?
Oh,
No, I don't think so.
Oh, when they... well, I don't want to spoil this for
Yeah,
you. But there's
don't
a
spoil
moment
it.
at the end
That's a tearjerker.
that's, for me, it was when Wanda's talking to Vision. And have you seen it?
I've not, but I want
Oh,
to.
there's
Is it
a
a
moment.
movie or is it a
It's a
TV
It's a
TV show.
series.
Okay,
Disney
that's
Disney
what
Plus
I
series.
thought. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it was, but I was like, oh, that's deep. I'm like, I feel that, you know? So,
Now, were you alone at the time?
no. My
So
wife
how
was
many
with me.
people saw?
I don't know if anyone really knows because again I did the man thing, but I was like, yeah, man, we're in the basement. It's really itchy, like allergies,
yeah.
you know. But
Dusty in here.
so that was probably the last time I'm like, oh, I'm feeling this right now. That was like 2 weeks ago, maybe not even that. It was
Okay.
Same day as the finale premiered.
That's good. When's the last time you cried, Josh?
Oh man, like last week probably. No,
It might have been.
I honestly, we've been watching a lot of like old movies that I've never seen before because I don't know, I just didn't grow up watching a whole lot of movies. So we're watching like classics, and I'm forgetting the name of it. It's The Goonies.
Love the Goonies.
I'd never seen The Goonies.
I've never seen The
before.
Goonies either.
And like
I
it's
know.
just this great like coming of age story,
Mm-hmm.
and like there's this part where like they all want to give up on this like really hard thing, and this young kid like gives this inspiring moment of like
Mikey.
we're the Goonies, like we can do this, and I was just like, yeah, you can do it. Like, I don't know. It's just this really cool moment of like never give up, like we got this even in hard times, and you know we've been having a tough year, and so I was like, yeah, we can do this. Yeah.
It's Sean Astin. I mean, listen, that kid. Well, the kid literally in Goonies. How many iconic roles has that guy been in?
Yeah, no kidding.
So
I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know.
Oh.
I should. My wife really likes it. I don't know why we haven't. Now we know what
You
we're going to
kids
do.
will like it.
it's on television like every weekend.
We don't have real TV. We do the streaming thing.
Oh,
I
okay.
can probably find it on Netflix. Or
Oh, I'm
something.
sure, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's still in the vein of getting to know you a little bit, but now moving more into some content. One of the things that really is intriguing to me is, we talk about how life is so much better with God, but there are so many people that do their entire life without Him. And in order to have a great relationship with God, we would say, and we would believe, that it requires faith in Christ to really reunite you back to your Father. What is it that led you to put your faith in Christ?
Well, for me personally, I was at I would call it a dark time in my life. I didn't become a Christian until I was 19 years old. And really had tried to find answers in other places. And God put someone kind of back in my life who directed me to church and eventually kind of to the truth at the moment when I was at the lowest. My best friend, his name was Sean, and I'd known him since middle school, but we weren't really close. I had graduated high school, it had been almost 2 years, and you talk about God, timing, God, right place, right time. I was happened to be going into work. I worked at a Winn-Dixie grocery store at the time. He was coming out of a record store next door and just like, hey, man, haven't seen you in a while. And yeah, I haven't seen you. We should hang out. Okay, good. Within like 2 weeks, I was at church with him and never looked back. It was crazy. It was perfect. It was, only way I can explain it, it was just God putting the right people when I was ready. Everything had been broken down. Everything that, all the walls I'd built up that I thought I controlled and things like that were, they were ready to crumble. And God, puts this guy back in my life, and it was really cool.
Yeah, let me dig a little bit deeper there. I don't know if I'm leading you too much on this, but one of the things that we also talk about a lot is that life is so much more enjoyable and so much more enriching when you have a purpose. It sounds almost to me that you were seeing a lack of purpose maybe at that time in your life, and understanding, wait, there's a God who loves me. I don't know if I'm like leaning you into something that wasn't the case, but talk me through that. What was it that really?
No, I don't. You're not leading at all. I don't know if this is the right word, but in a lot of areas of my life, I felt alone, and I honestly, and this is kind of maybe a little darker than you want, but. Here I'm a 19-year-old kid, and I was not in college. I was not in school. I really didn't know what I was going to do. I honestly thought, well, working full time at a grocery store, this is my life. And within it's kind of crazy because within a year of that, I had met the woman who ended up being my wife. We've been married for over 20 years now. I developed a passion for ministry and caring about others, and I didn't go straight into like ministry. I actually went to college. I was a teacher for 16 years.
Oh, wow.
But I did ministry part-time. I ended up being a youth minister for years for a couple different churches, and it was kind of I tell people all the time, if the me now met that 18, 19-year-old kid, I'd want to punch him in the face, but then I'd want to put my arm around and go, listen, kid, you needed that. Where you're going, you just needed to realize it sooner. Sure. If you'd have known what that life sooner, there'd have been some different decisions you would have made, and the way you did things in the past would have been better. Yeah. I made a lot of mistakes as a teenager. I did a lot of things that, sorry, Mom, hit on the radar, yeah. Those kinds of things. But, God transformed me. There's no other way to explain it. I was transformed through that.
And speaking of that transformation, one of the things that any great relationship needs is, those consistent, healthy patterns and rhythms. And that's no exception when it comes to our relationship with God. What are some of the habits, the rhythms, the patterns that you consistently need in your life that continues to grow your heart and your passion for God?
Not to give a plug, but for Mission Journeys, but I've got to be doing something. I love mission work. I fell in love with it probably 10 years ago when I actually put together one of a mission trip up into northern Minnesota. And I get so much, my wife will tell you, I get energy from people. So when I'm going into Eastern Kentucky, or if I go out to South Dakota or Minnesota, or, any of these places where we've done work, it's cliche, but, we've got to be the hands and feet of Christ. I come back, man. South Dakota, Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, I tell people, if you want to experience a third world mission, without going to a third world country, let me take you out there. It's dangerous. It's remote. It's isolated. It will shock you, the conditions of a place here in the United States, how bad it is. But if I'd have been a younger man, that's right where I'd be. If I have kids and things like that, I just love it. And I always come back recharged and like, okay, you know what? Yeah. We can't complain about anything we have because I just came somewhere where those people are doing it with less. Yeah.
No, I agree. It goes back to even the statement that I made earlier. We become our best when we're in the game. And I've seen that so many times in my own life too, where those times where I retreat into comfort, into security, yeah, that feels good for a time. But then I have to evaluate, am I actually looking more and more like Jesus? And the answer 100% of the time is no. And I have to force myself to, hey, let's get back in the game. Let's start serving again. And it's in those moments that you're right. I'm recharged. I'm more connected with God. Prayer life is deeper. Scripture comes alive. You name it. Yeah. No.
I can't agree more. It is funny you mentioned Scripture comes alive because, I'll reread passages, and it's like, man, after experiencing that,
Yeah.
that means something different now. It's so more intense and relatable, and I think we do a bad job sometimes of making Scripture relatable. We talk about the culture and stuff in the past, and it's like, well, that's there are things that have always been around that we just because but the stage has changed, the play's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking already a little bit, dancing around kind of mission journey a little bit. Let's talk about how you got kind of connected with Mission Journey, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what Mission Journeys does. So first of all, how'd you get connected? What's your heart for the mission? And then we'll go into some more of that.
How I got connected, well, I actually know one of the former executive directors, Greg Hereford. I'd met him years ago when he came to my home church. And we're, talking about mission trips and things like that. And at that point, I'd already started to get involved with mission work. We hadn't gone through an organization; we'd put our own together, which is quite difficult. And so, that was kind of my first surface level experience with Mission Journeys, the organization. Fast forward a little bit, a few years later, the executive director before me had heard that I had been out to Pine Ridge. Again, talking about that, and was really curious about that experience, and also given my history from being Southeast Kentucky, there was a kind of a combination of things that kind of led to some conversations. One, I flew out with him to introduce him to some mission partners out there and take him along the reservation, which within itself was an interesting story. Within 48-hour period, we almost got mugged. We some other issues when we got back. Went to a house that when you see movies where they talk about like demon possessions and this room looked like there was a padlock on the outside. So came back from that. Again, flash forward maybe a year and a half later, I had decided that I was going to get out of education. That I felt like I've never been a person who wants to hang on to a career just for a paycheck. And that was the number one question. What about the retirement? What about that? It's like, what? If I'm going to be a better husband, a better follower of Christ, and have more energy for those kind of things, I know God's going to bless it. And kind of blindly left education. Actually had a different idea in mind, but once again, God showed me something else. The executive director before me calls me up and says, "Hey, would you want to come on as an associate director and kind of help out with some administrative stuff and possibly expand to Eastern Kentucky?" And I said, sure. That's something I love. Mission work. I love any way I can get more directly involved in it. And I do love Eastern Kentucky. Those are kind of my people. So things happened, and now I'm the co-executive director with Wayne King, who kind of leads our GBS, and I'm excited, man. I spent I was never a big phone person. I spent like 3 hours on the phone yesterday talking about people. Like, what can we do, and how can we do this, and when can we do it? And I love it. I love every bit of it.
That's great. Well, speaking about doing, what is it that Mission Journeys does in regards to solving, some of the big problems that you see? I think most people kind of have this idea of missionaries. What problems are missionaries, particularly the ones that you work with? What are they doing to solve?
Well, there's a lot of problems, but I think you can kind of narrow it down to a couple things. A lot of missionaries, it's resources are always an issue. You'd love to have a unlimited checking account and like, hey, anything you need, new building, new whatever, here you go. But that's really not the problem. A lot of us, I think we see this in our local church too. It's motivating people to get involved in their own community, motivating people to get involved, to understand. This is one of our goals. If a group goes with on a trip, is, hey, listen, yes, you're helping plant seeds in that community. Yes, you are providing a service, a ministry, maybe it's a home repair, and that's all wonderful, but you're going to go back home. Mm-hmm. And the last thing we want you to do when you go back home is to go back to what you were.
Yeah.
We want you to come back with a passion, like, man, that was uncomfortable at times. I don't know that if you're really doing mission work, if you're not uncomfortable on some degree. But when you come back, it's that, I can do that here. I really enjoyed that. I can do that here too. I can find ways to plug in and it's again, cliche, hands and feet. It's I'm sure you guys have heard of the 20-80 rule. It's breaking through that. That's the most difficult thing. We've got a guy in Belize, and he'll tell you that. There are obstacles by being in another country, but if you can get people to act, more than just talk about it and read about it, but act, that's half the battle. Because plugging into doing things, there's just something to it. You come back changed.
Yeah. No, that's a huge argument in the I don't know. When I was in Bible school, one of the things that constantly got thrown around was, are small term, small trip missions effective, and are they needed, and why do them? And one of the greatest arguments for why people should go on them, why they are effective, is not because of the work you're doing there, because the long-term missionaries could probably do what you're bringing people in to do, but it's the effect of when they go back, and hopefully they see that when we visited an orphanage, or when we visited the nursing home there, or when we did this and that, or saw this need and met it, I know people back home that are exactly like this, and hopefully you realize that needs to be done where you live. And then for me, that sparked a want to be in ministry later, if that makes sense, and so the impact can be even greater. So I'm glad you touched on that.
Yeah, Josh, I'm just curious, do you think without the missions trips, would you actually be in ministry right now?
No.
So that was a catalyst for you.
It was exactly what I just said, where I saw things being done, you just have this fantastical view of mission work and stuff. And when I got on the mission field, I realized these are all things that I can do at home, right. and that I see these needs at home. Why am I not doing them at home? And that was when I was in high school, and then it just slowly grew into, wait, I can make this a career? Yeah. Wait. You mean to tell me that people will actually give you part of their salary so that you can do this full time? Right. It just blew my mind, and God was like, yeah, and I'm giving you the talents to do this. Cool. Yeah, no, that was definitely a big impact on me.
So obviously, success story with Josh in missions. What are some of the success stories that you've seen?
Just overall, or with Mission Journeys? Because
specifically Mission Journeys, I would say, I know our church is wanting to connect with you guys probably in June to do a domestic missions trip, short term.
Yes, you guys are going to Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah. And so I'm wanting to know, trips like that, what are some of the really big success stories that you've seen come from that?
I've been a couple places where I've seen, and COVID changed so much last year. We weren't able to take the short-term trips like we usually do, but that didn't stop us from doing some good. And that's actually probably one of the biggest success stories. So many other mission organizations, they kind of take one of two paths. They're either solely trip-based, and that's, so when trips get shut down, they're shut down. Or they are supporting a particular mission and that mission only. We're able to do both. And by doing both, so trips shut down, I've taken 4 or 5 loads of food to Eastern Kentucky because people didn't stop giving. Yeah. That's a success. I've taken clothing. We're going to take some mattresses out to West Virginia, for more teams. So it's a little bit more comfortable to attract more teams to come and help an area of Richwood, West Virginia. So the biggest success that I've seen, kind of post COVID, is that people haven't given up. Sure, we would love to see more trips, and so we can get bigger projects. But I really love that people, we have a university collecting food, a public university collecting food for a mission. That's incredible. We think of public schools, that's anti-church. It's awesome, and I'm going to be taking a truck full of food down there.
I assume a lot of ramen.
Probably. There's a ramen and a potted meat, mayonnaise sausages. Yeah, so that's been a great success. Success that we're starting to see. Again, as things get back to normal, a renewed interest. I got a call last week from a guy. He said, after seeing all this with the flooding, we've got a couple of deacons who are now care about missions, and I'm like, great. What are they passionate about? Right. I want to line their passions up with our projects, and let them feed off each other, and that's that's a success. Anytime we can get people to care about people,
sure.
In the name of Christ, in the name of God, and that hope. Hey,
that's good.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. You want me to ask?
Yeah, I know you had a couple of questions, and I didn't want to end things without you getting that chance.
Yeah. So, something I always like to talk to anybody who works in a mission organization about, because I don't know, this is just like a quality I think a lot of missionaries have, which is this is what we're doing, and everybody gets excited about that, but you probably have ideas of where you'd like to see things be. Mm-hmm. So if you could dream just a little bit, what are some things, or maybe a place or an area, a need that you know of that you would just love to see mission journeys move into in coming years or even decades?
Well, that's funny. I became acting executive director last June, and in July, Wayne King and myself sat down and realized there was no long-term plan for Mission Journeys. It was kind of like, okay, I don't want to say we were making it up as we went, but we were kind of just, let's see what happens. And we actually developed a strategic plan.
Awesome.
And that is, and part of that is, we say we have an Appalachian ministry, which we do. We have 2 places we go in Appalachia, but I would love to see that grow. East Tennessee, Western Virginia, West Virginia, other places in Kentucky. The mountain people are underserved in a lot of places. I come from a county that if you can look in just about every statistical category that's a negative thing, we're there. One of the 25 worst places to live in America, according to Wall Street Journal. So I would love to see that. I would love, we have a global Bible school. And one of the things that we are getting off the ground is we can actually offer like Bible education on the same level as Louisville Bible College. And I'd love to see us develop that into educating, because you have so many bivocational ministers this day who, kind of like me, they started off somewhere else, and they probably feel like they're playing catch up with education and things like that. And so I would love to see that grow. Those are kind of parts of our plan that we have divided into phases. We want to be more than just, hey, we send teams. We do have missionaries that we work directly with as well. And we're looking to expand that. We're, working with Junior and his daughter, the mission she works with, to kind of look, see if there's a potential for a relationship there. But we want to be both, and that's hard. That's kind of a, difficult given, state of current things and things are. But that's probably my top 2 is honestly to see GBS expand so we can offer these bivocational ministers some education, and to see our Eastern Kentucky really become a true Appalachian ministry. Where we're doing more just in supplying resources too, that, I see some church plants in some of these counties where we don't have an independent Christian church. There's several down in that area.
That's great.
So if someone's listening, watching, and they're wanting to get more involved, how can they do that?
Reach out. We have a Facebook page. That's probably the easiest way to get hold of us. There you can contact us directly through it. It has our contact information. We do have a webpage, missionjourneys.org. That's a start, but really, we try to post 2 or 3 things a week on the Facebook to show our different projects, because again, we are trying to offer opportunities beyond mission trips to help people. We have our Build a Bunk program. You'll see a post about that coming up, where if you've got guys that or girls that are, hey, we're not social people, but we have some skills. We've got some opportunities for you. Meal pack events. We've got so many things that we can do that can help a church One, to work on group building and get the idea of, hey, this is neat and this is going to help those people, but we can help people hear that as well. But that's where I'd start, and probably the easiest way.
All right. Well, as someone who is clearly developing a fantastic relationship with God, enriching community, and clearly a life of purpose, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your heart for Mission Journeys. If you guys want to contact Mission Journeys or Jonathan and himself, obviously Facebook, we'll try to have that link, at least when it comes to our YouTube page. But until then, enjoy the rest of the 2 weeks until you get to watch us again.